Okay, so 15 students is the same both for English, the medium is 21. Alright, so they've talked about the median here and the interquartile range here, then we probably need to find those two pieces of information for this data. So the median means the middle piece of data. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15. So it will be at the 8th piece of data. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that is our median. So median 26 for maths, which is higher than English. So we've compared them there. I've identified what they are. So that's one comparison. Next thing we need to know interquartile range. So the interquartile range means that we need to find out what the upper quartile, subtract the lower quartile is. So the upper quartile, that's the top half of the data. So when you've got an odd number of data, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, in total, then you would discount the median when you're trying to find the upper and lower quartile. You've now got 7 pieces of data at the top, 7 pieces of data at the bottom. So you're going to find the middle of those data. So this would be at the 4th, so that would be 29 and 20. So our upper quartile for the maths results is 29 and our lower quartile is 20. So our interquartile range for maths is 29 subtract 20, which is 9, which is lower than for English. Now it hasn't said to interpret this, so I imagine we should be able to just get away with that. Just see if I can find it. Comparison of the median. I think that's probably okay. Right. Regular pentagon. So pentagons have 5 sides. They're regular, so all angles and all sides are the same length. The area of the big one is 8. EJ is 4 lots of AE. So this comes up more and more, so you really need to make sure you're understanding this. So if this AE and E compared to EJ, so if this is worth 4 and this is worth 1, then in total this is 5. So our scale factor has gone from being a length of 1 to a length of 5. So our scale factor is 5. Now remember, for similar shapes, we call that K. So the scale factor for length is 5. The scale factor for area, therefore, is K squared, which is 25. So if the small shape is 8 centimeters, then the large will be 25 multiplied by 8. Multiplied by 8, which is 200. So the area is shaded region. So the big pentagon is 200, small pentagon is 8. So the shaded area is going to be 200 subtract 8, which is 192. What's the next question? All right, so 2 points, line, straight line, find the equation of them. Okay, so we've got 2 points, so we're trying to find the equation. So first thing, we know it's a straight line, so we're thinking y equals mx plus c. To find the gradient, we need to try and find change in the rise over the run, so change in y over change in x. So 7 subtract -1 over 4 subtract 1. So that's 8 over 3. So our gradient is 8 over 3. use one of these as a coordinate, so it's y equals 8 over 3x plus c. Substitute one of these values in. I suggest using this one because they're ones. So it's -1 equals 8 over 3 lots of 1 plus c. So -1 plus, oops. Subtract 8 over 3 gives us c. Okay, so I've subtracted 8 over 3 from both sides. So -1 subtract 8 over 3, -11 over 3, so c is -11 over 3. So my equation is now y equals 8 over 3x subtract 11 over 3. Alright, so we think we're done. However, when we go back here, they want it in this format. Remember, the integer means it has to be a whole number. So to make them both whole numbers, or to make everything whole numbers, we would multiply everything by 3, and that will get rid of both of our denominators at once. So this now becomes 3y equals 8x take away 11. They want the x and the y together. So they'll accept either -8x plus 3y equals -11, or 8x subtract 3y equals positive 11. Either would be accepted. I would suggest usually I'd go for this one to make the x positive, but it's not essential. Okay, work out size of ADB. ADB. So we need to find this angle here. Give a reason for each shade by working. Alright, so the fact that this goes through the center should always give you a clue. And that this line here, the DB line, cuts it into 2 semicircles, which means that this angle, the total angle there is 90. This angle here at this, on this arc, and this one here would be the same. They would be angles on the same arc, so that means that this angle is 43. So I would say angle ABD is 43. That's angles on the same arc. Angle BAD is 90 degrees. That's angle in a semicircle. And that means that ADB is going to be 180. Subtract the sum of those two. Well, that's it, plus 133, which is 47. So that, the reason for that is angle, excuse me, sum of triangle. All angles in a triangle add to 180. Right, inversely proportional to root Q. So P is inversely proportional to root Q. So inversely means the 1 over. So replace the in proportionality fish sign with 1 over, K over root Q. So we've given information to find K. So 10 K over. So K would be 10 multiplied by root. So 10 multiplied by the square root. Oops. No. Ten multiplied by the square root of 4. So 0.8. So K, oops, is 0.8. What we asked to do here, focus, Ms. Harrison, find a formula. So we've got P is equal to 0.8 over root Q. So that's our formula. Find the value of Q when P is 20. So 20 is equal to 0.8 over root q. So if our unknown is on the bottom, we can switch it with the value up here. So these two switch. So that means q is going to be 0.8 over 20 squared. Because to undo the square root, you square it. So oops, over 20 squared. 0.0016. Okay. Right, pieces work out like PQ. All right, so this is where it's one of those rules about the intersecting chords. So this whole length multiplied by, I always forget, multiplied by, hang on 1 second. Yeah, that's it. So this whole length multiplied by 3 is equal to this whole length multiplied by 5. So, oops. So that whole length is 11.5. So 11.5 multiplied by 3 is equal to PR multiplied by 5. So PR is going to be 11.5 multiplied by 3 divided by 5. So it's 6.9. So PR is 6.9. So that's the whole length. So that little baby bit here must be 1.9. So PQ is 6.9. Subtract 5. So as I say, that's just one of those rules on that big sheet I gave you for intersecting chords. Right, next one, solve. So it's an inequality. So remember, we treat it as though it secretly is the equation. So we're going to subtract 6x from both sides, and subtract 5, and make it equal 0. Well, make it have 0 on one side. So we've got x squared subtract 4x is greater than 5. So that's taking away 6x from both sides. And then x squared minus 5 is greater than 0. So I've subtracted 5 from both sides as well. Now I have a quadratic. So I've got to find two numbers that multiply to give -5 and add to give -4. So it's -5 and +1. Okay, so this is where we have a quadratic greater than 0. So we picture our quadratic. We know it crosses at -1 and 5. We know it's a positively happy, so it looks like this. We need to know where that graph is greater than 0. So that means it's greater than 0 here and here, which means it's these values and these values. So in other words, x is less than -1 and x is greater than 5. Represent your solution on here. So less than -1, greater than 5. Remember, they're open holes because it's not all equal to. Let's see. All right, so we've got a hemisphere on top of a cylinder. The hemisphere and cylinder, both height of the cylinder is 10. The water, T, work out the value of T. Oh, here, the volume of the water in the container is half the total volume of the container. So we need to find the total volume of the container. So that's a cylinder plus a hemisphere. So going back, I didn't put the formula sheet on here. Okay, so from the formula sheet at the front, I've snipped both of these two bits of information. So the cylinder part, the volume of it is pi r squared h. So that's pi r, radius is 6 times 6 squared times h, which is 10. So that's the cylinder part, plus the hemisphere. So that's obviously going to be half of this. So it's 4/3 pi 6 cubed, all divided by 2. So let's find that total. So pi multiplied by 6 squared multiplied by 2 plus 4/3 pi multiplied by 6 cubed over 2. Okay, so that's given me my total volume. So that's 1583.36. So the volume of the water in the container is half that total. So we find half of that value. So that's 791.681. 791.681. So this is the water volume. And for the water volume, it's another cylinder. So we're going to use this same formula, pi r squared h, but this time use the letter t. And we know the answer to it. So it's going to be pi multiplied by 6 squared t is equal to 791.681. So t is going to be 791.681 divided by pi multiplied by 6 squared. So it's that divided by, is that bracket? Yeah. Pi multiplied by 6 squared, which is 7.